Appendix 2. The Serbian Reply. Monday, July 27. Reply of Serbian government to Austro-Hungarian note, communicated by the Serbian minister, July 27, translation, from British documents in Public Record Office. The Royal Serbian government have received the communication of the Imperial and Royal government of the 10th instant, and are convinced that their reply will remove any misunderstanding which may threaten to impair the good neighbourly relations between the Austro-Hungarian monarchy and the Kingdom of Serbia. Conscious of the fact that the protests which were made both from the tribune of the National Skupština, and in the declarations and actions of the responsible representatives of the state, protests which were cut short by the declarations made by the Serbian government on the 18th of March, 1909, have not been renewed on any occasion as regards the great neighbouring monarchy. And that no attempt had been made since that time, either by the successive royal governments or by their organs, to change the political and legal state of affairs created in Bosnia and Herzegovina. The royal government draw attention to the fact that in this connection the imperial and royal government have made no representation except one concerning a school book, and that on that occasion the imperial and royal government received an entirely satisfactory explanation. Serbia had several times given proofs of her pacific and moderate policy during the Balkan crisis, and it is thanks to Serbia, and to the sacrifice that she has made in the exclusive interest of European peace that peace has been preserved. The royal government cannot be held responsible for manifestations of a private character, such as articles in the press and the peaceable work of societies, manifestations which take place in nearly all countries in the ordinary course of events, and which, as a general rule, escape official control. The royal government are all the less responsible, in view of the fact that at the time of the solution of a series of questions which arose between Serbia and Austria-Hungary, they gave proof of a great readiness to oblige, and thus succeeded in settling the majority of these questions to the advantage of the two neighbouring countries. For these reasons the royal government have been pained and surprised at the statements, according to which members of the Kingdom of Serbia are supposed to have participated in the preparations for the crime committed at Sarajevo. The royal government expected to be invited to collaborate in an investigation of all that concerns this crime, and they were ready, in order to prove the entire correctness of their attitude, to take measures against any persons concerning whom representations were made to them. Falling in, therefore, with the desire of the imperial and royal government, they are prepared to hand over for trial any Serbian subject, without regard to his situation or rank, of whose complicity in the crime of Sarajevo proofs are forthcoming, and more especially they undertake to cause to be published on the first page of the Journal Officiel, on the date of 26 July, the following declaration. The royal government of Serbia condemn all propaganda which may be directed against Austria-Hungary, that is to say, all such tendencies as aim at ultimately detaching from the Austro-Hungarian monarchy territories which form part thereof, and they sincerely deplore the baneful consequences of these criminal movements. The royal government regret that, according to the communication from the imperial and royal government, certain Serbian officers and officials should have taken part in the above-mentioned propaganda, and thus compromised the good neighbourly relations to which the royal Serbian government was solemnly engaged by the declaration of the 31st of March, 1909. Which declaration disapproves and repudiates all idea or attempt at interference with the destiny of the inhabitants of any part whatsoever of Austria-Hungary, and they consider it their duty to formally warn the officers, officials and entire population of the kingdom that henceforth they will take the most rigorous steps against all such persons as are guilty of such acts, to prevent and to repress which they will use their utmost endeavour. This declaration will be brought to the knowledge of the royal army in an order of the day, in the name of His Majesty the King, by His Royal Highness the Crown Prince Alexander, and will be published in the next official army bulletin. The royal government further undertake to introduce at the first regular convocation of the Skupština provision into the press law providing for the most severe punishment of incitement to hatred or contempt of the Austro-Hungarian monarchy, and for taking action against any publication the general tendency of which is directed against the territorial integrity of Austria-Hungary. The government engage at the approaching revision of the Constitution to cause an amendment to be introduced into Article 22 of the Constitution of such a nature that such publication may be confiscated, a proceeding at present impossible under the categorical terms of Article 22 of the Constitution. The government possess no proof, nor does the note of the imperial and royal government furnish them with any, that the Narodna Odbrana, and other similar societies have committed up to the present any criminal act of this nature through the proceedings of any of their members. Nevertheless, the royal government will accept the demand of the imperial and royal government, and will dissolve the Narodna Odbrana society and every other society which may be directing its efforts against Austria-Hungary. The Royal Serbian government undertake to remove without delay from their public educational establishments in Serbia all that serves or could serve to foment propaganda against Austria-Hungary, whenever the imperial and royal government furnish them with facts and proofs of this propaganda. The royal government also agree to remove from military service all such persons as the judicial inquiry may have proved to be guilty of acts directed against the integrity of the territory of the Austro-Hungarian monarchy, and they expect the imperial and royal government to communicate to them at a later date the names and the acts of these officers and officials for the purposes of the proceedings which are to be taken against them. The royal government must confess that they do not clearly grasp the meaning or the scope of the demand made by the imperial and royal government that Serbia shall undertake to accept the collaboration of the organs of the imperial and royal government upon their territory, but they declare that they will admit such collaboration as agrees with the principle of international law, with criminal procedure, and with good neighborly relations. It goes without saying that the royal government consider it their duty to open an inquiry against all such persons as are, or eventually may be, implicated in the plot of the 15th June, and who happen to be within the territory of the kingdom. As regards the participation in this inquiry of Austro-Hungarian agents or authorities appointed for this purpose by the imperial and royal government, the royal government cannot accept such an arrangement, as it would be a violation of the Constitution and of the law of criminal procedure. Nevertheless, in concrete cases communications as to the results of the investigation in question might be given to the Austro-Hungarian agents. The royal government proceeded, on the very evening of the delivery of this note, to arrest Commander Vojislav Tankosic. As regards Milan Ziganovic, who is a subject of the Austro-Hungarian monarchy, and who up to the 15th June was employed, on probation, by the Directorate of Railways, it has not yet been possible to arrest him. The Austro-Hungarian government are requested to be so good as to supply as soon as possible, in the customary form, the presumptive evidence of guilt, as well as the eventual proofs of guilt which have been collected up to the present, at the inquiry at Sarajevo for the purposes of the later inquiry. The Serbian government will reinforce and extend the measures which have been taken for preventing the illicit traffic of arms and explosives across the frontier. It goes without saying that they will immediately order an inquiry and will severely punish the frontier officials on the Skabac-Loznica line who have failed in their duty, and allowed the authors of the crime of Sarajevo to pass. The royal government will gladly give explanations of the remarks made by their officials whether in Serbia or abroad. In interviews after the crime by their officials whether in Serbia or abroad. In interviews after the crime which according to the statement of the imperial and royal government were hostile toward the monarchy. As soon as the imperial and royal government have communicated to them the passages in question in these remarks, and as soon as they have shown that the remarks were actually made by the said officials, although the royal government will itself take steps to collect evidence and proofs, the royal government will inform the imperial and royal government of the execution of the measures comprised under the above heads, insofar as this has not already been done by the present note, as soon as each measure has been ordered and carried out. If the imperial and royal government are not satisfied with this reply, the Serbian government, considering that it is not to the common interest to precipitate the solution of this question, are ready, as always, to accept a pacific understanding, either by referring this question to the decision of the International Tribunal or The Hague, or to the great powers which took part in the drawing up of the declaration made by the Serbian government on the 18th, 31st, March, 1909. Belgrade, July 12, 25, 1914.